Confucius was one of the greatest teachers in human history.
Confucius said many things, but even after 2,500 years, they're still relevant.
His philosophy on life can even be found in the way the Chinese treat their food.
His insights can be applied to everything from elaborate banquets to humble street food. I'm here to get a taste of history and the Confucian spirit through food.
Chop chop, let's get Foodwise. I've come to Qufu in Jining, eastern China, which is the hometown of Confucius, and I'm going to be meeting with a friend of mine who's actually his 75th generation descendant, and she's going to be showing me around and teaching me about the great sage's philosophies on life.
Hey, Tianran.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while. I know you're a foodie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you to try one of the most popular food for the local people.
Okay.
Jiabing.
Okay, so what do we do with all of that?
You have to take plate.
Okay.
And then choose anything you like. We're gonna fry all the things and stuff everything inside the bread.
I don't think we even need bread. This is a huge part. This is like breakfast, lunch, and dinner all in one.
I think when these things are fried, they are gonna shrink a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah.
You have a good point.
The bing is actually a traditional food for Shandong people. It is sliced open, so technically you can stuff anything you like.
Oh, that's surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's quite similar to the hamburger, right?
Well,
The only difference is that you've got tons of stuff in it.
so much meat in there.
So why do you come to Qufu this time? It's not just a catching up with an old friend thing.
No, but hometown of Confucius.
Okay.
Obviously I'm gonna come. I know you said one thing, which is to cultivate yourself so that you can better other people.
Yeah, that is indeed the first thing we need to do is to cultivate our moral character so that we will become really outstanding human beings.
Okay.
And this can also be extended to other members of the community. So this is how social morality comes into being.
Sounds like a utopia.
Yeah. So if you want to take a closer look at Confucius philosophies, you gotta visit the Temple of Confucius.
Of course. So this was the home of Confucius.
Yeah, he used to live inside the ancient city wall. You know, great and wise as Confucius, he was never aloof from the real life. You know, he was a foodie.
Yeah, I mean, he said there's no such thing as food that's too fine, right?
Yeah, he often held discussions with his students, and these discussions are recorded in a book called The Analects.
It's kind of similar to Socrates, but I mean, Socrates came about a century later, but both of them had tons of students, and they both kind of lived during times of war.
In turmoil.
Yeah, turmoil, times of strife, right? But they ended up going in different directions. Like Socrates was all about the ultimate pursuit of knowledge, and he kind of ended up being put to death because of that. But Confucius seemed to be all about the traditional aspect.
Yeah.
先师孔子是我学童，立身楷模，向先师行礼，夫心拜。
然后就收了这3位徒弟了，是吗？他们不是平时拜师还需要提供腊肉，还有
那
这个
是专门的老师，比方说你有一个师傅，要给他敬献腊肉、桂圆，要递给师傅敬茶，要给他那个
磕头，
速修6礼。
那他们一般办完了之后，就直接就跟着一辈子跟师傅是吗？
对，尤其是不光纠正孩子的行为方式，他重要是改善他的思想，让他去跟着老师一起去学习一些传统的东西。
I gotta say, sometimes it seems like the teacher-student relationship in China is deeper than the kind that you get in the West.
Yeah, for Confucius, he and his favorite disciple, Yan Hui, it was far beyond the father-son relationship. So this platform, it is actually the place people would come and offer sacrificial ceremonies to the memory of Confucius.
And even when emperors came, they also knelt down and kowtowed to Confucius.
Yeah, of course. And they would, make sacrifices with grand offerings of meat.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like much now because we eat those all the time, but back then people rarely ate meat.
Yeah.
Right?
The food for the sacrificial ceremonies have to be made like in a very delicate way. So in this way, maybe the gods in heaven, they would smell the aroma. That actually gave birth to a new kind of Chinese cuisine, the Confucian cuisine.
Right. You know, notice that there's actually a lot of places that say they do Confucian cuisine.
Yeah. The descendants of Confucius, they are in charge of the worship ceremony to Confucius.
Right.
And only the chef with superb skills, they would be able to reproduce the Confucian cuisine.
Okay. I mean, do people like that still exist?
Of course, maybe you can go and find him. He will take you to select the ingredients and you can learn how to prepare for the dishes.
Okay, sure, yeah, that sounds great. So Chao Fan recommended me to meet Chef Peng, who is a master of Confucian cuisine. So I'm looking forward to getting this master class. Hey, 你好，你好，你好，你好，你已经挑上了。咱们今天要选哪些菜啊？
我选那个绿豆芽、金钩，好做那个金钩银条。
这里是吗？
哎，同志，有海米吗？
咱们海米的标准是什么样的？
它是个慢弯，2公分，各处匀似的。慢弯的，它你抠出来是个圆啊，它有个内涵啊，团团圆圆啊，等等这种吉祥。
这些东西也就您自己心里知道，别人也不知道。
自身不要求不行，对吧？你是往下传承，必须严格把关。它这个弯，弯的太陡，
所以它这个不行，是吧？
豆芽在这边的。
OK。
它这个豆芽呢，哪一种豆芽都不能用它。这个金钩银条，它是必须是掐头去尾的。这个中间这一节，必须够1寸长，
OK
上头必须够2公分。所以说你选豆芽的时候，必须是粗长直。
那然后要是挑不到，就这道菜就不做了。
不做，你只要达不到这个要求，绝不做。
是不是也是对食物的一种尊重？
各方面的尊重，各方面的负责。你如果不按照这些，你对菜肴不负责，你对本人不负责，你对传统的工艺不负责。事不言轻，快不言细，就是优中选优，选最好的。
Okay, so we weren't able to get any ingredients, but obviously cooking ancient haute cuisine can't be that easy, which is why I'm going to be meeting the disciple of Master Peng, who's going to show me how to make Confucian cuisine. 不好意思，我今天我当您的徒弟了。
你好，欢迎。
咱们今天是准备做哪道菜？
孔府名菜，带子上朝，就是世事为官，代代上朝。做带子上朝呢，就用猪身上这个硬肋肉，一个猪身上就这么2块。
烙皮主要是为了让它紧一下吗？
是为了把那个把它汗毛孔烙掉。
So we're just charring the skin, burning off the little bits of hair, making sure that it's nice and beautiful. You know, earlier when I saw him charring it, it just turned completely black and I was like, oh no, have to throw that away. But after scraping off just like a very thin top layer, it's beautiful. It's very beautifully brown. It's almost golden. I mean, that really is one of the ideals that Confucius espoused to, that the noble man should continually refine and polish and chisel himself to, I guess, be like a beautiful sculpture in the end. It's a lifelong ambition. 对，过了水了之后，这个形象很好看。
对对对。
然后咱们现在就是要切它了，是吧？
对。
切的时候有什么讲究？
去四角，
I mean, this is definitely not something you would do at home. Like to go through all this effort to make a piece of pork look pretty, you really are just picking the best of the best. 还要量一下水平，
量一下它的尺寸。
还是得靠眼睛，靠手感。
切的时候要切到皮，还不能切断皮。
OK，
刀工比较精细的一些菜，需要有耐心，和写毛笔字和书法一样，能修心养性。你咔一刀切过了，
对，
这整块肉就废了，是不是？
哇，太漂亮了！
就这个切法，好多厨师都不会，切不了。去莲子心儿。
就是咱们现在的做法，其实跟几百年、几千年的做法
是一样的，传承的东西嘛，那个不能随便改动。你这代的人改一点，下一代的人改一点，改上几代就面目全非了，是不是？以前的师傅是不教的，他就让你看。对，慢慢的你做着熟练了，就知道在哪个环节怎么操作，自己慢慢的琢磨。
Confucius also said that even if you don't know how to read or write, as long as you use your heart and you are a good person, that a good person makes a good chef, right? Then you will be a learned man, a noble man.
Wow, you made this?
No, but I helped. This dish is called 带子上炒.
The pork is a bit sweet.
It's very sweet.
But you know, the lotus seeds inside actually taste light. It helped to reduce the sweetness. So I think maybe that is how the golden mean of moderation is passed down from Confucius to the descendants, specifically in cooking.
But it's interesting though, because even despite the fact that, you know, people's flavor profiles have changed, that they've kept this the exact same way as it was hundreds of years ago. So this is kind of almost like a trip back to the past. It's sort of like a museum exhibit of what people centuries ago would have eaten.
You know, there's a place they are also doing this kind of Confucian cuisine, but it tastes totally different. So I think we are going to try that place out.
Yeah, sure.师傅，咱们这是做哪道菜？
我们今天做的是创新版的牡丹鱼片。先把这个鱼片片好之后，然后再腌制。
真的是很薄很薄，纸一样薄似的。那咱们下一步骤是什么呀？
下一步就开始炸。
就是它本身是一道传统的一道菜哈，那咱们为什么是想要去，也不叫改良它吧，反正创新，
就是呢，我们呢结合现在人的饮食需求呢，从口味上、从食材上、烹调方法上，我们进行改变。这个鱼呢，以前老式的做法是用炒鱼，剁细了之后，然后用那个带子洗出来的，蒸制的。我现在呢改用了黑鱼，它更脆。口感更好。炸的呢，是我们是一片一片扣下来的，
方便
客人，对，更好的去分餐。口味上进行了改变。以前的这个牡丹鱼片呢是咸口，口味比较单一。现在我们做成这个酸甜口，加上柠檬汁，
对，
老幼皆宜。
无论是原来还是现在，都是摆成一个牡丹花，是吗？
对，鱼和牡丹呢都是富贵的象征，富贵有余，表示美好的祝福。创新呢是那个守正创新，我们守的是呢它的造型和寓意，
根儿还是一样的。
对，不能忘本，丢掉它的传统。
真棒，真的很好。哒哒哒哒哒哒。
Wow.
Oh, you know it's good when it crunches like that.
I think it tastes like potato chips a little bit.
I think it's really interesting how this dish is probably taste-wise very different compared to the original, but I think sometimes it's very difficult to strike a balance between maintaining a tradition, just falling out of fashion.
It is really difficult to stick to the traditional or the original cooking method You know that Confucius made a lot of comparisons between 君子 and 小人. You know, gentlemen, they always seek for harmony, but not sameness. So I think, you know, maybe 2,000 years later, it is still like sage advice, especially when it comes to tradition or innovation, this kind of issue.
Oh God. Didn't realize I have to work this hard for my tea. Oh, wrist is killing me. And this is Song Dynasty style tea ceremony. And Chaofan said that we're gonna go somewhere where we'll have a very ceremonial meal. So down the hatch and off to the next one we go.
孔府宴礼开启，礼请贵宾。行冠洗礼。请着华章，请贵宾堂东落座，请主人堂西落座。起舞。起菜，首先为您奉上的是孔府3套汤。
Oh, that smells amazing.
You know, in China, we usually serve distinguished guests with some beverage first. You know, when it comes to eating.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's kind of, you know, like when you eat in a Western restaurant, you might order a soup first, or you get a drink first. This is, I guess, the drink.
Yeah. So this is the main dish, 麒麟玉书. As you know, 麒麟 is like a mythical beast in ancient China, and also, you know, jade, 玉,
Right.
is the symbol of a gentleman, of the exemplary person, 君子.
I was surprised because, you know, even leaving one scale on a fish, it just kind of ruins the fish. It's just the eating experience is very unpleasant to accidentally bite onto a fish scale. But it's interesting how they've actually incorporated it as part of the dish.
Yeah.
There are lots of rules regarding how fish should be placed. Like you can't face the spine of the fish towards your guest. Because I guess first it's like upside down, and second there's no meat on the spine, right?
Yeah.
And you also, when you're done with one side of the fish, you can't flip it over, because then it means like the fisherman's boat is flipping.
Yeah,
Right.
that's inappropriate.
Yeah. The shrimp are wearing like a little life vest.
Actually, it symbolizes the jade belt the government official in ancient times wears. So the implied meaning is that you get good luck in your political career.
Oh, I can feel a promotion on the way. You know, it's interesting how every single dish has like a story behind it.
You're experiencing the Chinese culture behind this famous dish.
Wow.
Dessert.
This is very beautiful. It's interesting how like the pear looks like it will be quite crunchy, but then it actually kind of melts in the
Yeah.
end.
And did you notice the Chinese character carved on the pear? 诗, the poetry.
Okay.
You know, indeed, Confucius addressed many times on different occasions about the importance of studying rites and poetry. Actually, that's where the name of the dish comes from.
Oh, because it's also wordplay, because in Chinese pear is li and rights is li.
Yeah.
Ah, that's why my glasses are so thick.
宴饮亦为宴乐，有世俗欢乐性的一面。投壶即把箭杆投到壶中去，接下来请主人、宾客各取箭舞之。
Oh, almost.
Oh, you did it.
It's very tiring to eat like this. The chairs are very uncomfortable.
I mean, it's not like a couch, you got a cushion. Come on, it's just a form, right?
You can't eat like this at home, no way. Right, yeah, it's just no fun. It takes the fun out of eating in that case.
I think that, as you know, Confucius said that at the age of 70, he could follow his heart and desires without overstepping the line. So we know that Confucius spent his whole life learning extensively. And he also tried to discipline himself through this process of learning, and also he tried to cultivate himself. So for him, freedom is also like a relative term.
It's not to discipline others, but to discipline yourself to stay within reasonable bounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of high-level cuisine last couple of days, been eating like emperors and aristocrats, but I'm also curious as to how regular people eat and whether Confucius's teachings had any influence on the street food that could be found here.它是这样子做哈。我能试试吗？我替您做几张。
行。
我这个要糊了。OK。
往下干。
这边。这个中间这个洞太大了，反正估计都接不下。
接就可以了。
一接。
接下来，教给你这一个吃。
那这个应该是怎么吃啊？
就这样卷着叠起来。
哦。
就这样，电饼卷大葱。
啊。
开吃。
就这样的啊？
啊，就这样吃就可以了。
Wow. Well, this is definitely a very big breakfast. Love it. 哦，您是这样子切的哈，半个大拇指。
对。
咱们一天能卖多少豆腐？
卖也就是200斤吧。
那咱们这个手工做这种豆腐，它有什么特点呢？
这个豆子有生豆芽的、走豆腐的，这个新豆子和陈豆子还不一样。这个冬天和夏天还不一样。你要是不会买，也等于做不出好豆腐。
明白，就首先是原材料得选好。
对，你经验多了，自己随时都知道了。
对。
先少盛，再盛一撮，2撮，慢着，端平完，再盛。慢着。学员，体验生活。
在实习呢。
你看，这个羊肉才是个技术的，能跑到吃出啊，看着吧？先点上，看着吧？
哎呀，
是吧？你看，
哎呀，哇，
跟清鸡蛋一样，主要是这个粥啊，它养胃。早上起来头一天喝点酒沫的，第2天喝清粥，长点羊肉，养胃。哎呦，小姐来了啊！再盛点嘛，再盛完，给这个老师盛完。2碗。
好的，生意太好了。Suddenly it became rush hour. 这么快就卖完了？
了了。
哎呀，一天能卖几桶这个？
有5、6桶的。
5、6桶。毕竟您这做了都有好几代了，是吗？咱们。
我这是第5代了。
第5代了啊？有没有传下来的什么讲究或者规则？
诚信主要是
啊。
用好粮食才能烧出好粥来。
那
老师，
就诚心做事儿，然后料是必须得用好料，
对，
就得自己要吃嘛，也要吃这个东西是吧？
对，用心做这完成的，这个味乎就不一样。
You know, now that I know how much effort went into making this thing, it definitely makes me appreciate it a lot more. Doing the same thing for 5 generations and keeping the flavor the same and consistent. Hats off. these kinds of, traditional handicrafts or traditional dishes that require a lot of hard work, you have to use the best material, right? You have to be very picky, and then you have to stick with it. They've just got the perseverance to just continue making this one thing. Today, I think a lot of young people we just tend to get bored of things very easily. This, on the other hand, requires tenacity.
So, how do you feel about your Foodwise in Qufu?
Oh, everything was very delicious. I also went to grab some street food, and I was talking to the people who just do one thing for their entire life, and that is something that I think is very difficult to do.
So you see that Confucius and his philosophy has been, penetrated into the daily life of Chinese people.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of whether it's Confucius or Socrates, they all talk about cultivating yourself. And if everybody is acting upright, then society becomes good as a whole. You get a utopia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have much more to learn. Disciple greets master.
Just as Confucius have said, it is really a delight to have friends coming from afar.
Yeah. Next time you got to visit me in Beijing.
Of course.
That's for the next chapter.
Yeah.